Hats off to entrepreneurs. You bring value to our community by creating jobs and building wealth. Aspire Enterprise of Florida is your premier one-stop resource for strategic business coaching, business trainings, and business services. Our elite team of business professionals have over 30 years of expertise to serve small business owners, not-for-profit organizations, and individuals. Aspire Enterprise, where your needs are our priority.
Who am I? I'm someone that believes in community and that dedicates hundreds of hours every year to serving the people of Brevard. Who am I? I'm a scholar that supports and believes in education, that donates countless dollars and hours to helping scholars learn, grow, and be better for our future. Who am I? I'm an advocate that stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves and that protects and defends the Constitution every single day. I'm Alton Edmond, and I'm running for Brevard County Sheriff. It's time for change.
Hi, Palm Bay. I'm Ron Medina, your candidate for mayor. With your support, when elected, we will immediately move forward to take the necessary actions to restore transparency, to restore accountability, responsibility, and the respect of our beloved city. It's evident through recent audit findings and oversights meeting in Tallahassee that our city has engaged in financial decisions that clearly have put our citizens and our financial stability at risk. The headlines of our city once promoted a city that cares, finalists for a City of the Year, and a community with a great future. Now, today, the headlines promote our city as one with escalating crime, an interchange to nowhere, mismanagement, state-imposed audits, and playgrounds closing due to equipment being unsafe. We must stop this downward spiral of our once financially secured, beautiful community. We drive through flooded roads, potholes, and traffic jams. I pledge to you as your next mayor, I will shine light on these past budgets along with the poor decisions made so we can get the answers our citizens deserve and our state leaders demand. I encourage a forensic audit of all our city operations so we can bring all these things to light. This process will not be easy, but our future and that of our children depend on each and every one of us, ensuring accountability, ensuring professionalism, immediately replacing finger pointing, mismanagement, the rubber stamp process that brought this audit upon us. There are many serious questions. The business and residents of our cities deserve a government that they can trust and believe in. It is important to address these issues head on, for they've made a target of ridicule and skepticism from our surrounding neighbors and our very own residents. This will require strong leadership, transparent and sensible policy decisions, and constant commitment to ethical conduct. As mayor, my first goal will be to restore trust in our government. Government for the people, by the people. This is truly an opportunity for leadership by example. And as your mayor, I'll pledge to you that if I vote to approve a contract with a company to do business with our city, I will prohibit myself from receiving any future campaign funds from that said company. And I will encourage our council members to do the same. I believe as elected officials, we're held to a higher standard. The citizens of Palm Bay will be my only priority. We will address the many concerns of the finding of the state audit and encourage the open participation of our residents to provide oversight in our budget process. Hashtag the public trust. For a better Palm Bay, elect Rob Medina. May God bless you. May God continue to bless this great city we call Palm Bay. Hoorah! Hoorah!
Hello, Palm Bay. I am Kay Mirage, and I'm running to be your next mayor. I currently sit on the Planning and Zoning Board, as well as our Community Development Advisory Board. I'm a mom, I'm a small business owner, and I've been married to my husband, Lynn Volk, for 19 years. And together we have an amazing 17-year-old son who's about to head off to college. Palm Bay needs fresh, bold leadership, one who is an embracer of change, diversity, and inclusion, who is proactive and thinks outside the box. They need to be free from conflicts of interest and owes no favors to the who's who. Our next mayor should be informed and have a true understanding of the issues and be ready with plans to help solve them. They must be open to have dialogue with you and empathize with your concerns. I am that leader. I'm ready to work with council to earn back public trust, bring transparency and accountability to all levels of city government. I am your voice, and I'm that unifying force that is ready to guide our city towards smart growth and a very successful future. For more information, visit palmbayk.com, and on August 18th, vote Kay Mirage for Palm Bay Mayor. Kay is the right choice for Palm Bay. I'm Kay Mirage, and I approve this message.
Hello, Palm Bay. Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. This political advertisement is approved and paid for by Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. Public safety is important. As a councilman, that should be the number one priority when you come in office, public safety. And the people who provide that safety, who serve and protect, is Palm Bay Police Department and Palm Bay Fire Department. I went through a 2-hour process for each interview for an endorsement with Palm Bay Police and the Fire Department. The Palm Bay Fraternal Order Police, Lodge 111, endorsed me. Also, Palm Bay Fire Department endorsed me for the City Council Seat 3. My opponent decided not to go in front of them. He decided to go to the Space Coast Association of Realtors. Has nothing to do with public safety, and none of them probably works in Palm Bay. But I would have took the time out if I was him. And here are the men and women that serves and protect and keep you safe at home. So remember this when you go to the polls in November. If your brother, your sister, your uncle, your father, your cousin, your friend is a police officer in Palm Bay or a fighter, my opponent don't care what they're going through as a candidate running for office. I do. That's why they endorse me. Thank you, Palm Bay. And remember, I'm the only one with law enforcement experience and a history of providing safety throughout the public, throughout these United States. Vote randyfoster.com. Vote for Randy Foster, a true leader. Thank you.
For nearly 60 years, most politicians running for office in Palm Bay promised to fix the city's failing roads. In 2017, armed with a plan, Thomas Gaum and a small team of residents set out to accomplish this enormous task.
The need for alternate paths that are smoother than the roads, and the term grassfault will soon be a distant memory.
Tom believes in duplicating success. He started by visiting Northport, Florida, a GDC community exactly half the size of Palm Bay. Northport successfully fixed their roads with a road bond referendum, and Tom made several trips to Northport to fully understand the process.
In the 2018 election, 66% of Palm Bay voters approved a $150 million bond referendum. Now we're turning our failed roads into an economic engine to diversify our tax base and lure commercial businesses,
while at the same time looking out for the environment and the delicate ecosystem we call home.
That's what sets Thomas Gaum apart. He solves problems by creating teams of citizens to conquer even the most difficult issues. You might say that Tom is the man with a plan. Vote Thomas Gaum for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 on November 3rd. For your family, your property, and our future.
Approved and paid for by Thomas Gaum for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3, nonpartisan.
Palm Bay and our surrounding communities, I would like to thank you for your tremendous support. As we move into the fall months, Palm Bay Live is seeking your support so we can continue to deliver valuable programming. Your monetary donations will help us so we can achieve those goals. You can donate online at www.palmbaylive.com. Advertisers are also welcome. Palm Bay Live is a non-profit organization. Thank you for your continued support. Hello Palm Bay. Welcome to another edition of Palm Bay in the News. The City of Palm Bay would like to remind residents that on October 1st, Republic Services will take over trash and recyclable services here in the City of Palm Bay. A postcard was sent out to each resident home with your new schedule. On October 1st, residents can call 321-989-6030 to ask any questions about your new services. Attention realtors, we would like to feature your listing or your services in a new show set to premiere in the upcoming weeks. Please contact Kevin at palmbaylive.com for further information. Voters are reminded that the final date to register to vote is Monday, October 5th. For more information, visit votebrevard.com. Here are some upcoming events for the month of October. Thanks for watching Palm Bay in the News. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Have yourself a good day.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good evening, Palm Bay. Welcome to Palm Bay Live. And with me tonight is the president of the Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce, Miss Nancy Peltonen. Welcome. Good evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you have some information to update us about the Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. So I'm going to allow you to go ahead and do that at this point in time.
Okay, well, I know that you are going to show a video of our, this weekend we have Mayhem from Dawn to Dusk, so maybe we can show that first, and then I can tell you all the details about this fabulous event. So that's just a little bit of the excitement that's going to happen at Valkyria Airport this Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, they are going for a world championship. From dawn to dusk, it will be the longest drone race. They are trying to get an unofficial Guinness World Record, and you can come out. It's free to attend. Every attendee will get one of these fabulous backpacks. There we go, one of these great backpacks that we're handing out. And we'll have face masks. You can socially distance. We'll have bleachers there that you can sit on with your family. You can get close to the racers so that the kids can talk to them about what being a professional drone racer is all about. There'll be food trucks and some vendors. So join us this Saturday. If you're an early bird, you can get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. It is going till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And then on Sunday, it is 9 to 3. So join us this Saturday and Sunday at Valkyria Airport. And this is in conjunction with Visit the Space Coast. We also have next Wednesday is our monthly luncheon with Scott Morgan, the city manager for the city of West Melbourne, providing an update on what is going on in their city. They still have a lot of development that is happening. So that'll be a very interesting event. We are having our first in-person event. We will be socially distanced at Promise in Brevard, where we normally had our luncheon. So that'll be our first time where we're kind of getting together. Masks are required. And then finally, we have our mayor's breakfast. That is on October the 16th. This is the most unique event, I think, in the county. We get all the 16 mayors of the cities and towns in Brevard County together at one place and time. We had to plan this before the governor opened everything up. So we are doing this through Zoom, but you'll see, like the Brady Bunch, all the mayors on the screen. They'll be able to interact with each other, and Sheriff Wayne Ivey will be our MC again. So you know that it'll be informative and a good time and fun. So that's on October the 16th, and it's open for anyone. You do have to pre-register. There is a small fee to attend. So those are the main things that we have coming up just for October. It's a never-ending events and trainings that we provide to the community and our members as a whole. So we thank you for checking out the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much for that update. And now we will go ahead and go straight into the debates without further ado. I know the audience have been waiting for this debate. There's been much to do about it, much talk on social media. And you will be our host today. So you'll be narrating us as we ask these important questions that the audience want us to pan out, try to ascertain where the candidates stand on these different issues. So I will have you take the floor and narrate the program.
Okay, well, thank you, Kevin. So integrity, dependability, trustworthy, approachable, these are qualities that we are seeking in a candidate. Tonight, Palm Bay Live is proud to present another debate that will give the residences of Palm Bay an opportunity to review candidates for our local political offices. Tonight, we're going to hear from Randy Foster and Tom Gaughan. They are two candidates for office on matters that are vital to our community. We will hear them answer questions on corruption, infrastructure, budget, economic development, parks and recreation, affordable housing, homelessness, and sustainability. So the rules for tonight's debate are as follows. Each will have a 2-minute introduction, and then you have 2 minutes to answer each question. We have Barika Lafell, who will be asking some questions, and then the great host of Palm Bay Live, Kevin Basinia, and he's going to ask some other questions. So you have 2 minutes to answer each question. We are leaving 2 minutes for rebuttals, and then if it seems like we need a subsequent rebuttal, there'll only be 1 minute. I have my trusty timer here, so you will hear it go beep, 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 and that's giving you the indication that your time is up and you need to wrap it up. And then at the end, there will be 2 minutes for closing remarks, and then you both agreed to have a question that you would pose to each other. So during the questioning format, there will be the time when you each get to pose a question to the other. So I am going to now turn this over to Barika. And you each have, well, I guess before we do that, you each get your 2 minutes for introduction. So I am going alphabetically. So Randy Foster, if you would like to give your 2-minute introduction, I will start the clock right now. Okay. Oh, we're not hearing you. I am going.
Okay, we're having an audio issue. We're gonna get this solved right away. 1 second, folks. Sorry about that.
Hats off to entrepreneurs. You bring value to our community by creating jobs and building wealth. Aspire Enterprise of Florida is your premier one-stop resource for strategic business coaching, business trainings, and business services. Our elite team of business professionals have over 30 years of expertise to serve small business owners, not-for-profit organizations, and individuals. Aspire Enterprise, where your needs are our priority.
Testing audio. Can you hear me okay? Oh, wow. Palm Bay and our surrounding communities, I would like to thank you for your tremendous support. As we move into the fall months, Palm Bay Live is seeking your support so we can continue to deliver valuable programming. Your monetary donations will help us so we can achieve those goals. You can donate online at www.palmbaylive.com. Advertisers are also welcome. Palm Bay Live is a non-profit organization. Thank you for your continued support.
For nearly 60 years, most politicians running for office in Palm Bay promised to fix the city's failing roads. In 2017, armed with a plan, Thomas Gaum and a small team of residents set out to accomplish this enormous task.
The need for alternate paths that are smoother than the roads, and the term grass fault will soon be a distant memory.
Tom believes in duplicating success. He started by visiting Northport, Florida, a GDC community exactly half the size of Palm Bay. Northport successfully fixed their roads with a road bond referendum, and Tom made several trips to Northport to fully understand the process.
In the 2018 election, 66% of Palm Bay voters approved a $150 million bond referendum. Now we're turning our failed roads into an economic engine to diversify our tax base and lure commercial businesses,
while at the same time looking out for the environment and the delicate ecosystem we call home.
That's what sets Thomas Gaum apart. He solves problems by creating teams of citizens to conquer even the most difficult issues. You might say that Tom is the man with a plan. Vote Thomas Gaum for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 on November 3rd. For your family, your property, and our future.
Approved and paid for by Thomas Gaum for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 nonprofit.
Hi Palm Bay, I'm Ron Medina, your candidate for mayor. With your support, when elected, we will immediately move forward to take the necessary actions to restore transparency, to restore accountability, responsibility, and the respect of our beloved city. It's evident through recent audit findings and oversights meeting in Tallahassee that our city has engaged in financial decisions that clearly have put our citizens and our financial stability at risk. The headlines of our city once promoted a city that cares, finalists for a City of the Year, and a community with a great future. Now, today, the headlines promote our city as one with escalating crime, an interchange to nowhere, mismanagement, state-imposed audits, and playgrounds closing due to equipment being unsafe. We must stop this downward spiral of our once financial secured, beautiful community. We drive through flooded roads, potholes, and traffic jams. I pledge to you as your next mayor, I will shine light on these past budgets along with the poor decisions made so we can get the answers our citizens deserve and our state leaders demand. I encourage a forensic audit of all our city operations so we can bring all these things to light. This process will not be easy, but our future and that of our children depend on each and every one of us, ensuring accountability, ensuring professionalism, immediately replacing finger pointing, mismanagement, the rubber stamp process that brought this audit upon us. There are many serious questions. The business and residents of our cities deserve a government that they can trust and believe in. It is important to address these issues head on, for they've made a target of ridicule and skepticism from our surrounding neighbors and our very own residents. This will require strong leadership, transparent and sensible policy decisions, and constant commitment to ethical conduct. As mayor, my first goal will be to restore trust in our government. Government for the people, by the people. This is truly an opportunity for leadership by example. And as your mayor, I'll pledge to you that if I vote to approve a contract with a company to do business with our city, I will prohibit.
Okay, we're going to try this one more time. We're not sure what's going on with the audio. Randy, can you hear me okay? You're talking, so obviously you can hear me, but you're not. I'm not sure why I can't hear you. All right, so we're going to try. You're going to have to go into the office with Miss Nancy. So let's do it that way. All right, folks, we're sorry about this. A little bit technical hiccup here. We're not sure what's going on. The devil is a liar. We're going to get through this. This is a process. Hopefully, we can navigate through this really fast. And he was close by the Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce, so we had him stop by there to do this live. So we're going to have him sit next to Miss Nancy. And that's going to be the only way we can get through this narrative tonight. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we can be masked if you'd like. So,
we're
okay.
so sorry about this, folks. And I know everybody's been waiting for this. So we're going to bring back Ms. Marika back on the stage. And there we go. And I'm going to remove myself. And Ms. Nancy, take the floor again.
Okay, so we are going to start, and I'm sorry you're going to see me through all of this because I have nowhere I can move out of the screen. So we are starting with the 2-minute introduction, and I'll have Randy go first. As I said, we're doing it alphabetically, asking if they were flipping a coin, so nope. So we'll go alphabetically, and then Tom, you'll have 2 minutes. So I am going to reset my timer and give Randy 2 minutes. Okay.
Hi, Palm Bay. Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council seat 3. I could go and talk about my background, growing up in New York. I'm a father. I have one son in college. All of that, but it's really about my experience and leadership. Here, you're looking to hire someone for the city council. And it's about their background and about their leadership experience. And I served in the military, retired Air National Guard over 25 years, served as a police officer in North Carolina, made it up to detective rank. Also, as a U.S. Marshal. I have over 28 years serving in the United States government. Also served as a federal air marshal during 9/11, right after 9/11. And I have corporate experience as a chief loss prevention officer in the Marriott Corporation. I bring a lot of unique experience to the city of Palm Bay. And most of this is through my background, places I live, growing up. This is what I'm going to bring to Palm Bay, change for the better. We want to focus on our infrastructure. We want to focus on our public safety. With me, public safety is number one. We want to focus on growing our commercial base, developing businesses, and getting more than just one large corporation like the Harris Corporation. So we want to bring in industries that can support us if Harris ever decide to leave Palm Bay. A lot of jobs will be lost. We don't want that to happen. So we want to have more than one crutch to stand on. So this is what I bring when it comes to integrity. No one has the background in law enforcement like I do, and I can bring that to Palm Bay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Randy. Tom, now your opening introduction, and I will start it right now. Oh, you're muted. I'm going to stop this.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
We don't want you to lose.
I feel like I'm at disadvantage that you're not right here.
I know,
next to
we
me,
could have
Nancy.
done it. Well, I don't say that. That sounds really bad. But I was going to, all three of us could have been here together. So let me reset this, Tom, so you don't lose any time. And I will get this done and start. Okay, Tom. So this is Thomas Gom, and we will hear his opening remarks.
Hi, my name's Thomas Gom. I'm running for Palm Bay City Council C3. I've been involved with the city of Palm Bay dating back to 2007. 2006, I was the Palm Bay Chamber Small Business of the Year award winner as a business of one person. And the following year, I was the chairman of the board for the chamber, and then got into government affairs, which started my interest in politics. I ran in 2018. I lost to Kenny Johnson. I don't think anybody really could have beat Kenny Johnson in 2018. He's a great young man. doing great things in our community. But some of the things we need is I'm a big proponent of opportunity zones, especially in the northeast section of our city. Opportunity zones give us an opportunity, give us a chance to bring in businesses that are funded through an LLC or a large investor. The investor gets a tax break on the capital gains tax in exchange for making the investment in our community. And that investment can be anything from a service that they provide to a trade school. So it's a big opportunity that we can look into and bring some much needed improvement into our northeast section of our city. Down in the southeast section of our city, we have the new interchange. We have Emerald Lakes coming online, and it's a very exciting period. One thing I will say, and I said it tonight at the infrastructure meeting at City Hall, is this city looks a lot different now than it did 2 years ago. And that's because of the citizens who got together and formed teams, and we did the roads, and we got rid of the assessments. We took the power to assess out of the city charter, and we opposed the mandatory hookups to water and sewer. All of this was done by citizens coming together as a team, and that's how I intend to lead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tom. So now I am turning this over. Done. Hold on. Boy, this just likes to keep giving an alarm. Okay, sorry. So now I'm going to turn it over to Barika, and she is going to ask the first line of questioning, and she can choose, since Randy went first, we'll have Tom answer the question first, and we'll just rotate one to the other.
Okay, do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. My name is pronounced Barikia Lafell, and my very first question will be, what do you plan to do to oversee any past corruption issues in the city of Palm Bay?
Well, that's where I stand apart. It's not what have I gonna do, it's what have I already done. I stood up against the corruption. I pointed it out. I stood at the dais. I brought documentation. I would continue to do the same thing. I'm not going to say we can totally abolish it, because there's always corruption in government, but we can sure be watchdogs and keep our eye on it and continue to do the same things I've been doing for the city of Palm Bay for the last several years.
Okay, thank you so much. Randy?
Well, my opponent here don't have a clue about corruption. I actually arrest corrupt politicians in my law enforcement career and investigate corruption. So what I'm going to do for Palm Bay, to stop corruption, you need policies and procedures. Number one, you got to put the right policies and procedures. The state of Florida have ethics laws, but they're weak. When he talks about standing up for corruption, I did the same thing too. I called out Trey Houghton when he walked off the dais and went home during a council meeting. I filed a complaint, and the complaint went nowhere. He got paid for that. Imagine you going to work and this decided, hey, Nancy, I'm going home for today. I don't even say I'm going home, just walk off and leave. Should Nancy pay her employees? I don't think so. No emergency, no sickness, nothing, just get up and leave. And the city of Palm Bay had to pay his salary for that night. And I said, that's wrong. I, as a supervisor, if one of my employees walked off the job like that, somebody could have got killed, he would have been fired, or she would have been fired. So we need policies and procedures in place. And I will call out where a person did something wrong. I will make a motion to take action, for the council to take action. So when you shouldn't be on the dais if you're compromised by law enforcement. You can't make a decision. Your decision you'll be making is for your own best interest. So I have the integrity, I have the background, I've been vetted by Department of Justice, United States Department of Justice, by the United States Air Force, and Homeland Security.
All right, thank you so much. My second question is—
Get a rebuttal.
on. Yeah, it's time.
Okay.
There's rebuttal. So, Tom, you have 2 minutes to rebut.
Well, first I'll say that I do work on Patrick Air Force Base. I pass all those background checks. That's nothing unusual. The other thing I would say is he's correct. He did call him out, and he did hand in a complaint. But the problem is that he didn't follow the procedures for the complaint, because there was a set procedure that you file an ethics complaint by, and all he did was hand it to the mayor, and that's not even where it went. I mean, he didn't file anything, and he accomplished nothing. Thank you.
Can I rebuttal?
Yes, you can.
First of all, my opponent is wrong. I handed my complaint to the mayor because I wanted a public record. That's the first thing. It's one thing to talk about it, and then there's another thing to do something about it. So I handed my complaint in the middle of the city council to the mayor to make it a public record. That complaint went to Andrew Landon, who did his investigation or whatever, and got back with me with a letter saying it wasn't going any further than what happened that night. I had an opportunity to file with the state, okay? And I didn't do it. Unlike my opponent, he filed something against Brian Anderson and never showed up for the meeting, cost the city $5,000.
Not allowed to show up for those meetings.
Okay, so that's it for final rebuttal then. I'll turn it back to Barikia for the next question.
Yes, thank you so much. The next question is, would you consider a forensic audit?
And Randy, if you'd like to take that.
You know, a forensic audit would be great, because I think you should make sure the finances are above board and no one is stealing money. But I would have to look more into it. I'm not going to commit to saying yes. I like to look more into it. We had a JLab audit. That wasn't a forensic audit. That's like an inspection. Government goes through audits all the time. In the federal government, I've been through audits. But the city would have to pay a lot of money to do a forensic audit. And before I spend your taxpayer money, I want to investigate more before we go that route. Thank you.
Tom?
Well, right now, there has been a forensic audit approved, and the forensic audit that's been approved was on the interchange and the funding of the connecting road to the interchange. I do disagree with that particular forensic audit on that, because the interchange is built, the money is spent. We know what happened. I've investigated in depth what happened. Jake Wise stood at the podium and told everybody what happened during the process. So there's nothing to be gained by the forensic audit. None of that money's coming back. Where we do need a forensic audit is in areas like stormwater, where the JLAC audit said that there was some misappropriation of government time between the general fund and the stormwater fund. I would like to know $4 million in a park budget, that's the best $4 million we can spend. So would I support a forensic audit? Yes, but it has to be by department or compartmentalized, excuse me. So because a forensic audit of the entire city would cost us millions of dollars. Just for they authorized $250,000 for the forensic audit on the connecting road.
Randy, would you like to rebut, or are you?
No.
Okay, we're done. Okay, so then I'll turn it back over to Barikia, and I think, oh, no, we're moving on. I apologize. We're going to Kevin with the infrastructure questions. So Kevin.
Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll try to work that out. What do you see as a priority when it comes to the city's infrastructure?
I believe it's my turn.
Yeah, yes. It's yours, Tom.
Several things. One, down in the southeast with the new interchange, as was discussed earlier, all of that area is going to be improved. Much of that cost is going to fall on the developers, but 4-laning Babcock Street's a priority. 4-lane, the city's responsible for Malabar Road, out to the C20 canal. The C20 canal is the canal just east of Krasner, the new light out at the west end of Malabar. So that section between Minton Road and the C20 canal will need to be 4-laned also. And there was a PD&E study meeting about that this week, and I'm really not looking forward to 3 or 4 roundabouts between here and Minton Road, but that's another story. But get the roads done. We're in the process of it. Like I said, the city looks totally different than it did 2 years ago. I'm really proud of the way things are going. And I think that's going to lure a lot of business into the area.
Thank you, Tom. Randy, your 2 minutes.
Well, infrastructure is not just roads. Infrastructure is your fire department. Infrastructure is your police department. Infrastructure is your water, your sewer, your lighting. Your lighting. We got nice roads, but it's so dark. I drove over here. I thought I was going into space. I mean, it's crazy. But infrastructure is people in the city government. Infrastructure is your computer system. You know, cities in Florida are getting attacked by hackers, and the hackers are holding for ransom, or they're attacking the payment system, and they can access your information. The VA got attacked, and a lot of information got out about veterans over the years. So is that not infrastructure? Infrastructure is very important. And to grow the city, we need infrastructure. To attract business, we need to fix everything, not just one thing. If you have 4 ball tires on your car, you don't replace just one thing. You replace all 4 tires. That's my vision of infrastructure. One piece at a time and get it done. Thank you.
Tom, Ripa?
And I would agree that infrastructure is more about that. Up until I came on the infrastructure board 2 years ago, the city wasn't putting in for Safe Route to School grants. After some prodding, we're putting in for those. And this year we had $2.5 million in Safe Route to School grants from the state. Another point that I'd like to make about that is my opponent several times has come to city council and said what he said just a few minutes ago. We have a road, but it's dark. Well, it's real easy to point out the problem. But a little research will tell you that there's 5,018 high-pressure sodium bulbs that the city pays about $800,000 a year to light up the existing roads that we have lit. If we swap those out to LED bulbs, it saves 43% of the money. I've been in contact with FPL. FPL will swap out all of our existing fixtures to LED fixtures free of charge. That savings, that 43% energy savings, would allow us to add over 3,000 new lights to the city's existing infrastructure. So it's real easy to point at a problem and say it's dark out there, but you've got to come with a plan.
Can I rebuttal?
Absolutely.
You just heard my opponent go to FP&L and, spit out what he just said. Okay? But if you live in Palm Bay, the other night I drove down Palm Bay Road. It was so dark, I didn't even know where I was going. And I drove this road. I could drive this road with my eyes closed. But if you go into West Melbourne, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. So yes, on the city council, this is where it takes leadership. You just don't go and talk the talk. You come up with a plan. Yeah, I want to investigate it more, and I come up with a plan. If I tell you a plan right now, and without all the information, and I will be changing my plan. But you get the facts, you get the information. My question is, why is dark in Palm Bay and is lit up in Melbourne? Why is dark all the way down Babcock Road once you pass Palm Bay Road? Did you ask about that? Did you ask the FP&L to come and light up the Babcock and Palm Bay Road and the side streets? If a fire truck or a police officer responding to your house right now, I mean, you can't even find the addresses on the buildings. This is ridiculous. This is infrastructure, and this is public safety. That's why public safety is number one to me. I don't know about my opponent, but we could do this. We could light up Palm Bay, and we need to hold FPL accountable. They're one power company in Florida, and it takes all our money. We need to hold them accountable, and the city council councilman needs to lead from the dais.
1 minute. Did you want to respond to that, Tom?
I wouldn't know where to start. I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will turn it over to Barikia, and she's going to ask questions on budgets.
Yes, thank you. My question is, how will you take on the future budget, and what is a priority for the budget?
And that's to you, Randy.
Well, your budget, you tell me, you show me your budget, you show me your priority, okay? So my budget, the first thing is public safety. Public safety is number one. We got to make sure the citizens are safe, and everything else is second. You look at your infrastructure, you look at your police department, you look at your parks and recs, you list your priorities to get what you need before you get what you want. I want to protect your tax dollars, okay? I will look at grants to help save our budget. I look at different ways to how government operate to save money. I did this in the federal government. I did this in the United States Marshal Service. I saved the federal government $1 million in 6 months after taking over a section in my office. I wrote $1 million checks to local government. So I understand budget. I don't think my opponent ever dealt with millions of dollar budgets in the government, but I have. And I can tell you, you can look at any budget and you can find where fraud or waste is going. Eliminate that. Get grants. Come up with new thinking, new ideas, listen to your employees, and you can save money in your budget. But you gotta, the number one thing you gotta focus on is public safety. Because without public safety, the public is at risk.
Okay. Tom?
Well, there's 3 things defined in the city charter. There will be a police department, there will be a fire department, and we have to take care of the infrastructure. So those are the first 3 things that should be funded: our police, fire, and infrastructure. Nowhere in the city charter does it say that the city is an entertainment venue, or that there has to be parks, or that there needs to be a lot of things. It states those 3 specific things. So those 3 things should be the first things budgeted, and they should all be budgeted at 100%. And then we take care of the wants after that. But when you talk public safety, I'm going to address this here because my opponent seems to think that there's an issue with me not getting the police or fire endorsement. The truth is I didn't seek those, nor would I have accepted them, because the police and fire contracts are up next year. I don't get to negotiate that contract. That goes to the city manager to negotiate, but I may well have a vote on it. So how can I take their endorsement, take their money, take their support, and then look at the citizens and say that I'm going to give the citizens a fair shake when I go to vote? So that's the reason I didn't seek, nor would I have accepted either one of those endorsements. Endorsements are a two-edged sword. I prefer to stand on my own 2 feet. Thank you very much.
Okay, you can rebut. I do have to say that you guys really aren't on topic for the question, but okay. We'll give you 1 minute each. Okay.
I want to rebut what he just said. He don't care about the policeman or the policewoman on the beat. He don't care about the firefighters who risk their lives every day to save you and me. He don't care about having a fire station down, or when the MLAs come up, we got to put a fire station. And also, he don't care about parks and rec, families, kids, events, our Christmas extravaganza, our 4th of July. He don't care about that. You don't need a parks and rec, because parks and recs provide that service. I serve on the Parks and Rec board in Palm Bay, and Parks and Rec generate money through fees. Okay, so I want everybody to listen to. He don't want to seek the police, or he don't want to go to a 2-hour interview like I did with the police FOP or with the fire union, because he attacked them in 2018. So they wasn't going to give him his endorsement anyway. But I had to earn that by a 2-hour interview. So I care about our men and women in blue. I wore that uniform. They put their lives on every day. And when it comes to a contract negotiation, the city manager does that. And you voting on a contract, because the police officers and the firefighters, they are Palm Bay residents too. They have family here too. They have kids here too. And they care about the city. They care about government. And I care about them.
Okay, Tom, did you want to rebut?
Yes, I do care about it. I was actually a volunteer fire department on Big Pine Key. I've been out. I rode almost an entire day. I went on a ride around with our police. I'm in contact with our police department. Here's my issue. Is when the city manager goes to negotiate that contract, I'm only going to ask for 3 things. Don't break the 3% cap. Don't take out a bond. And if we hire a new recruit, I want to be able to look at him and say, if you give me the best 20 or 30 years of your life, there'll be a pension for you in the end. Right now, I just want to know that our pension is sustainable. I don't believe it's sustainable if you take away the $50 million bond that was taken out 10 years ago to prop it up. You take out that bond money, we don't have a sustainable pension. The citizens of Palm Bay still have 10 more years to pay on that bond. So we need, if they can give me those 3 things in a contract, I'll vote yes. But those are the 3 demands I have. Don't break the 3% cap, no new bond, and I want a sustainable pension plan.
And you've got 1 minute if you have a response.
Yes, I have a response.
Okay.
Don't buy a ladder truck. So if there's a fire in a tall building, you just go ahead and die. Don't have the police, the amount of police officers to respond to a 911 call. You're just on your own. Defend for yourself, or let your house get broken into. Okay? Serve 20 years and put your life on the line, and don't retire with a pension. That's what he's saying. I want every police officer and firefighter to hear him. And if you want this person as your city councilman, that's going to be bad news for you. That's going to be bad news for your kids and your family and your wives and your husband. You got to look at a budget, and you got to look at what the officers are going to, and say, we honor your service and we stand by our officers. Police officers getting attacked on the media and social media every day, and he just attacked them right now. Thank you.
Okay. Did you
say
want
that
that
I don't care about him and lie and say that as many times as you want, but that as many times as you say the lie, don't make it a truth.
Okay. So we will turn over to Barikia again for another question on the budget.
Yes, thank you so much. If elected, what steps will you take to help our city be financially stable?
Tom, that goes to you.
Well, first of all, I'm a big proponent of the 3% cap. I mean, that keeps the cost to the residents down. We need more density. That's the best route to our security, is to grow our density, to attract the commercial, bring in the commercial base, but the commercial's not going to follow until the density's there. They've got to have the rooftops. You talk to any developer who's developing commercial property, and there has to be rooftops around it because they need a workforce.
Okay. Randy?
Well, we got to grow our commercial base. We got to grow our commercial base, and we're in the process of, I can see that happening real soon. You can't be anti-growth and you're talking about rooftops. Palm Bay is the largest city in Brevard County. We're over 118,000 people. The resident lives in Palm Bay, but they shop in West Melbourne and Melbourne. You know, the lady next to me is working her behind off to develop business here. We have to bring commercial business. We have to support our small business. We can't do it by building more houses. Okay, we got to build a commercial base, and not only the commercial base, we got to get an industry here. We can't be a one-trick pony with Harris. We got to get a industry that's gonna for the future, solar or electric cars or battery. We got to attract that. Okay, and once we have that in place, our budget is going to be protected. And I'm for not wasting tax dollars, and I'm for not getting in debt. So that's where I stand.
Tom, did you want to rebut?
Yes, I get this tag as being anti-growth, and nothing could be farther from the truth. What I'm against is paying for growth. For years and years and years, we've dumped money into BCRA, different economic development programs trying to attract business here. All of that for naught. I mean, it really hasn't produced anything. What my opponent's talking about is continuing on with the same thing. That's called insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. What I want to do is the people of Palm Bay moved here because they wanted a quiet, safe place to raise their families and retire. So let's start with that base. Yes, we are a bedroom community. We were designed as a bedroom community. Despite 60 years of everybody's best efforts trying to spend millions of dollars on economic development, we're still a bedroom community. And we will continue to be a bedroom community until the time we reach a density where the business moves in. So until that time, we should concentrate on being the best bedroom community we can, attract our small business, support our small businesses. Anything out there we should pursue. But to simply waste taxpayer dollars in the name of economic development has gone on for years and years and years. And I've had enough of it.
Thank you. Okay, so Rebut, would you like
to? Yeah. Apparently, I don't know where my opponent was in 2016, but I talked about CRAs. I talked about eliminating the CRA. He's talking about opportunity zone, picking and choosing winners and losers in a Pacific area. I'm talking about developing the whole city. You know, just up the road in Daytona Beach, Amazon built a big plant. Jobs starting off at $15 an hour. Amazon seeming like that's going to be the next post office because they're delivering all over. I see trucks going every which way, but they're going through Palm Bay, but they're not working in Palm Bay. So let's forget about Amazon. Let's forget about Google. Let's forget about any company that's looking to take advantage of Florida, being in sunny Florida, being in beautiful Palm Bay. Let's just forget about them, and because that's what my opponent is saying to me. I'm not for a government program that's going to waste your tax dollars. I'm for attracting business here and being an advocate for it. Large business as well as small business. I'm a small business owner. And I think that's the best, one of the best position to be in is a small business owner. And we need to come up with ways to help them grow and sustain during this tough economy, during this pandemic we live in. I'm having a meet and greet at a small business off Palm Bay Road, Ski Bowl Restaurant, on October 17th. So please, I'm for small business. I support small business, and I'm not for CRAs. I'm not for doing the same old thing, kicking the can down the road. He's been a Palm Bay resident for a long time, and it happened right before his eyes.
Tom, do you want to rebut for a minute there?
No, let's just move on.
Okay. So now we are turning this over to Kevin, who will be asking questions on economic development. Kevin?
Hi, gentlemen. How will you bring new businesses to Palm Bay, large and small, and will you offer incentives?
Randy, you're first on that.
Well, first of all, you got to have a team in the city government to go out there and attract. And you got to have leadership that's willing to be an advocate and reach out to different business. And you got to build your infrastructure. You got to have the infrastructure to have these businesses to come in. We got the population. We just need them to come in. You need leadership, people with forward thinking, positive thinking. I would be a strong advocate. I would use all the tools in the toolbox if it's necessary. But I'm not going to give away your tax dollars just to get somebody here. You come here, you're going to have to produce. You're going to have to give us guaranteed things in writing. But no, I'm not for just handing checks out to taxpayer dollars out to business. But I want to make sure all my tools in the toolbox are there to get the right business to come to Bombay with the right jobs, and so our kids can have a future. Thank you.
Okay. Tom, your 2 minutes.
Well, from being a small business owner twice over, I would say that commercial business, industrial business, and industrial business all have one thing in common, and that's that they need to get goods to and from market, whether it be bringing in their supplies to build something or sending out a finished product or receiving a finished product in order to sell to the consumer. So we've been given literally a gift from God with the new interchange, because we're due to redo our comp plan. That comp plan includes community visioning, so the members of our community, our citizens, can all have input in what the city is going to look like in the future. But having those two interchanges tied together by Babcock Street, if we use this opportunity to change our comp plan, Babcock Street is just an organic main street. Everything will grow there organically because you can get your goods to and from market so easily down one road and onto the interstate. So that would be my focus, is to try to grow. We need a downtown. We need a main street. Well, there's a gift right there. And everything else that's been tried, show me some results.
Okay. Randy, would you like to rebut?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Then moving on to the next question, Kevin.
How can you help local businesses now, especially with the current state of COVID-19 affecting them?
Did you hear that? He was cutting in and out on our end.
Yeah, could you repeat it? It was real broken.
Okay, I'll try. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. How can you help support local businesses now, especially with the current state of COVID-19 affecting them?
Okay, I'll say it one more time, Tom. I know it sounded cutting in and out for us as well. It said, how can you support local businesses now, especially with the current state of COVID-19 affecting them?
Well, we all need to frequent our, oh, somebody's got me turned up real loud and I'm just getting feedback. We do need to frequent our local businesses. I mean, that's the most important thing. This morning, I had breakfast at Izzy's. I had lunch at another local diner. But you know, if you want to meet me, it's going to be at one of those places, usually not a chain. But I'm in the local businesses. I talk to the local business owners. One thing we do need to do is figure out our permitting system so that when a new business does come in, they actually have a chance to make it. Because right now, setting it 3 or 4 months between the time they decide they're going to go in business and the time they can actually have their CEO, they've bought their inventory, they're paying for the lights, they're paying for the rent. They don't know it, but they don't have a chance by the time they open their doors. So by clearing up the permitting process, get them in business within 60 days, get their doors open, and get them bringing money in. Yeah, that is the best thing we can do for our local businesses.
Okay. I'm going to read the question one more time for Randy because I was cutting in and out. So Randy, the question was, how can you help support local business now, especially with the current state of COVID-19 affecting them?
Well, that's a good question. And these businesses are struggling, dealing with the COVID-19. the CDC, the federal government, the state showing poor leadership. And you close the bar, you open the bar. Here's what I believe. I agree with my opponent. I don't disagree with him all the time, but I do agree with him about the permitting process. But what I want to do is forward thinking. I would like to do a workshop and get businesses, local business together, and come together and form a think tank and see and with city officials and a couple of councilmen sitting in that workshop. And I like this workshop to go through the last for a year, meeting once a month and coming up with solutions how the city can help local business. What are their priorities? What are their needs? Because it changed. Every business is different. Okay, and they have different priorities. And we as a government should be supportive of that. When it comes to our permitting process, we're doing a poor job of it. Okay, and we need to change that. But we also, it might be other areas that we can help with small business. And I like to hear from them. I like to hear what they need and how our service can help them. So I want to form an advisory group or a workshop for the next 24 months, because this COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon, and we're heading towards an economic downturn, and I want to prevent that.
Tom, would you like to rebut?
No.
Okay. Then moving on to Barikia. She is going to ask questions on parks and recreation.
Thank you. The very first question, are you guys able to hear me? Is, are there any ideas you have for the community in regards to park and recreation?
And Randy, that's you first.
Okay. I didn't quite hear that.
The question was, are there any ideas you have for the community in regard to our parks and recreation?
Well, yeah, I have a couple of ideas. One, we need to parks, and I sit on the advisory board, and we talked about this. Festivals, a Caribbean festival, like in Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if you're familiar with the one, Barikia, in Brooklyn, but that's a festival that's been going on since I was, as far as I can remember, I was 9 years old, and people from all over come. Okay. In the city council, a campground. We're looking at to do a campground. That could be bring RVs from all over the country, okay, and put Palm Bay on the map and bring economic prosperity to the city when you have hundreds of RVs camping out in Fred Poppy Park. As the city grows, we're going to need more parks. We are lacking on parks. The city has parcel of land that was designated for parks, and we're trying to sell it. But, my opponent talked about the new interchange, and Emerald Lake's going to grow. It's going to be a huge population growth down in the Northeast. And we don't have a fire station, we don't have a police station, and we don't have a park. And so that's something that Palm Bay needs to look at. I think our Parks and Recreation doing a phenomenal job, and I applaud them.
Tom?
Yes. There it is again. He's got me turned up real loud. One of the things I'd like to see from Parks and Rec is that there's a $4 million budget there. There's a lot of little parks that are underutilized. We have some great parks: Fred Poppy Park, Veterans Park, Liberty Park, the larger parks that provide more services. But a lot of the resources are used for the little neighborhood parks, which maybe have a couple picnic tables and a shelter, or a playground that gets used by 2 kids a week or something. But there needs to be some kind of study done to look at those small parks and see, is the resources being utilized in those parks? Could they be better used somewhere else? When you talk about the campground, I asked 16 questions about the campground. Nobody could answer the security question, about the neighborhoods that would surround this campground. There's footbridges into the neighborhoods. Nobody addressed the security question. Nobody could answer a question if it was going to be an enterprise fund, which means it would stand on its own and not be relying on our general fund dollars. So I'm not against the campground. I never stated if I was against it or for it. I asked 16 questions, which never got answered.
Okay, would you like to rebut, Randy?
Yes. A couple of months ago, the park budget has been cut and hasn't been funded for a while because of the economic downturn that the city was under. So the playgrounds didn't get repaired. The playgrounds became dangerous for kids to play on. So the park director, Fred Poppy, closed that. And that caused a ruckus because mothers couldn't take their kids to the playground and play. The pool, we have a pool that's been closed for over a year. The only pool we have in Palm Bay, and it's getting repaired, and it's costing a lot of money. But kids are not learning how to swim, and that's a public safety issue. So when things like that, the use for it, because when you go to that pool, they was charging to come to the pool a little fee to come to the pool, but the small parks are not charged, and kids and mothers who don't have the money to go to Orlando, don't have the money to go to Disney or the water parks, Six Flags and all of this, they take them to a park in the neighborhood for kids to have play. So I think you might not look like it's being used, but it's being used. And when you shut them down, the public complains. So we need all our parks, and we need to be smart about if we have to build another park. We need to make sure, I agree with my opponent, it's the proper place to put that park, and it's going to get the most use. I'm talking about new parks, if it's required.
Tom, did you want to respond?
You touched on the mismanagement. We're fixing the pool because it wasn't maintained. We're fixing the senior center because it wasn't maintained. We're fixing Fred Poppy Park because the septic system out there wasn't maintained, and now it has to be put on city water and sewer at a cost of $800,000. So a lot of the problems with park has to do with things not being maintained, and the reason they're not maintained is because they're not in a capital improvement program. That's just basic management. So like I said, I would fully support a forensic audit of our Parks and Rec department because I want to know that those dollars are being spent on the welfare and recreation of the citizens of Palm Bay.
Okay, and did you want to?
Yeah, I want to rebuttal.
Okay, we have 1 more minute then for subsequent rebuttal.
No, we don't need a forensic audit of the Parks and Recreation Department. What we need is leadership. The reason why these things wasn't maintained because the city council didn't budget for it. Maybe they had some budget issues over the years, and they didn't make that a priority in their budget. And yeah, it needs to be maintained. And to go from septic to sewer is a good thing. Yes, it's going to cost money. It's a good thing. It saves our environment, city water. But we have the parks that we have. We got to maintain them. We got to fund them. I don't think we need a forensic audit. I think we need leadership from the city council to put that in their budget. That's my opinion.
Tom, did you want another minute?
No, that's fine.
Okay, moving along, Barikia.
Thank you. My next question is, what do we need for our community to better enjoy our city?
Tom, that's to you.
One thing we need, and one thing that I would support is we used to have an event called the Big Squeeze. And Nancy's going to smile because it was a chamber event, but it brought the whole city together for one big festival. That's how the chamber used to really be funded was that one event. And it was huge. It took up the whole BCC campus where we have the 4th of July. So that was a good thing. We need to get back to doing those things. I've been in talks with Republic Services. They want to be very involved in our community. And one idea I have is I'd like to do Trash Bash, where we start at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and for 2 hours we go around and we totally clean up a neighborhood. And then after that, we have a big barbecue and everybody just have a good time and enjoy your neighbors. So a lot of things like that. I think that's what we're missing. People used to actually talk to their neighbors. I live on a great street. I have great neighbors and I love them. But there's a lot of people out there who don't even know who lives next door to them.
Okay, Randy?
What? Can you repeat the question?
Yes, what do we need for our community to do better, to better enjoy our city? What do we need for our community to better enjoy our city?
Well, I talked about the Parks Recreation trying to create a Caribbean festival or cultural festivals. And to do all of that, you need a park. You need a park and recreation department. Or you need community organizations to put things together. Like the Christmas celebration, the Christmas parade, park and recreation. Okay, the 4th of July, park and recreation. But the city don't have to do everything. We need to bring the community together. That's why I talk about on my website, an all-American city. You bring business, community, nonprofit, and government together to create a place where we can live, work, and play, as they say in Palm Bay. And that's the focus that I'm going to be focusing on. Not only nonprofits can do these things, but business can do them too. And it's just creative thinking and reaching out to people, and reaching out to business leaders, small business or even corporations will want to do these things. Veteran organization that does a lot of events all over Brevard County. So we could start making some well-known events that and publicize it, or promote it, or market it, so we could bring people here and everybody enjoy themselves.
Okay, Tom, did you want to rebut?
No, that's
okay. Next question.
Thank you. If you were sitting on the dais, how would you have voted for the RV park and why? And how would it be funded?
Randy?
RV park? You mean the campground?
Yeah, the campground. Yeah.
I would have voted for the campground. And sometimes you got to invest in something that's going to give you a return. You don't invest in once you build that campground, it's built. That's yours. And then you got to get your return on it. And I would not vote on something if we're not going to get our money back, if we're not going to get a return on our investment. That's just simple. That's smart business. So I would have voted for the campground. Wickham Park has a campground, and they're doing very well with their campground, and it's always packed. So you build a brand new campground, the excitement of it will attract people, and once people come and enjoy themselves and see this beautiful city, word spread, and you're going to have people coming here in droves once the word get out. We have an RV park, RV World here in Palm Bay, and right across from my office, there's a parking lot where a bunch of RVs are parked there. They're there for a reason. The owners want to take that out and use it. RVs, people who own RVs, just like people who own boats, they want to go out and use it and enjoy it. And Palm Bay could be one of the places that they could enjoy it.
She actually asked two questions on that. The second part of that was, how would that part be funded?
Well, to start, the city's going to have to spend some money. Right now, TDC is giving up, what's that, 1.7 million? Over $1 million to help fund that. They got grants. So it's not all tax dollars. We could do it with grants and other organizations donating. But the TDC the Tourist Development Council has given us over $1 million. What do? You give it back? That's money from tourists sleeping in our hotels. That's a bed tax, not from residents of Palm Bay. If you live in Palm Bay, you should be more than likely you're not going to get a hotel room because you live here. But for people all over that comes and enjoy Palm and Brevard County, we're getting that tax dollar. Invest right wisely.
Thank you. Okay, so Tom, that was a two-part question. So it was, how would you have voted, and why, and how would it be funded?
Well, I wouldn't have voted until my answers. All my questions were answered. I asked 16 questions. They couldn't tell me if it would even be profitable. The numbers they provided included no personnel and no security. The question was never answered if it was going to be an enterprise fund, meaning it would stand on its own. There was just too many questions in order to make a logical vote. But my opponent sits there and says he'd vote for it blindly without having that information in front of him. I find that hard to believe.
Did you want to respond? Yeah.
I don't know if he's listening to me. I said you don't spend your money if you don't get a return on your investment. And I think the councilmen and the mayor who voted for it passed 4-1. So apparently they had a little bit more insight than my opponent. And I have a little bit more insight about it than my opponent. So, and I've been talking about this when I ran in 2016 for the county commission. So yes, it's a good thing. The 4 councilmen voted for it, okay, and to pass it. Like I said, once again, you're going to give back 1.2 or 1.7 million back to the TDC. When they gave it to you to invest, the TDC, the Tourist Development Council, sees it as a good idea. Why would they give $1 million? I guess their question was answered. So
I'll answer that question. The TDC wants to build a campground because it brings back more tax money.
Tom, you still has another 50 seconds, and then you can rebut.
I don't interrupt you, sir, and I'll let you
talk.
You
asked me a question.
No.
Well, you have to wait till it's over, so let him finish, please.
The Tourist Development Council are a group of, and I met with them on a couple of occasions on different subjects. These are smart businessmen, okay, and they're well-to-do, and they make good decisions. And to give Palm Bay a grant over $1 million, I guess their questions got answered. Okay, I guess their questions got answered because no one gives $1 million with not getting their questions answered and know how it's going to work. So we got the $1 million. Let's use it wisely and let's go for it. Go ahead, sir.
Tom?
Okay, it's $1.7 million at a total cost of $4 million. So yes, they'll give us a grant for $1.7 million as long as we spend $2.3 million of our taxpayer money. And for you to say it's not taxpayer money, and then you turned right around and called it a bed tax. It's all tax money. It all comes out of people's pockets. I don't think it's the right project for the right place. So giving back their $1.7 million to save 2.3 don't sound like a bad idea, at least until a better idea comes along.
Did you want to do a 1-minute rebuttal?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's such a bad idea, why would they give $1.7 million? They see it's going to be profitable. Wickham Park, that's a bad idea. Once we close the RV park at Wickham Park, the county's not going to do that. Once we close the RV park at Patrick Air Force Base or any military base, they're making money. Okay, once we open this park, this campground, and the RVs start coming, and the economy is going to grow in Palm Bay because people are going to be spending money. They're going to be spending gasoline. They're going to be buying food. They're going to be eating at restaurants. They're going to be going to movie theaters. They're going to be buying clothes. They're going to enjoy the city. That's going to be an economic driver for Palm Bay. So I think it's wise to spend that TDC $1.7 million because other than that, we don't have any tours place here for Palm Bay. Thank you.
Okay. Tom, did you want a minute to respond?
No, let's move forward. It's
Okay.
getting late.
Yeah.
Before they move off from this subject, I have a question real quickly on parks. Gentlemen, how do you increase parks on the projected fall in revenue?
I didn't get the last part.
How do you increase parks on their projected fall in revenue? Revenues is looking to shrink, so how is it that we're going to increase parks?
Who you want to go first?
Tom, it's not total answer.
If you want to respond with falling revenue, how do you expect to increase parks?
I expect to make better use of the revenue we have. I mean, like I said, are there parks out there? I mean, I've met with Fred Poppy. We talked about that subject. Some of the other things would, we have, with all the building going on, we have impact fees for parks. So that can be used to increase capacity or put something new in a park. So, but parks are just, like I said, they're not one of the three core functions of the city. Are they important? Yes. But that being said, I'd rather have more police, more fire, better infrastructure before I worry about building a campground.
Randy?
Well, the question was about the campgrounds. The question was about how do you increase park on the falling revenue? You don't spend money you don't have. That's simple. If you don't have the money to build it, you don't spend it. You don't go in debt to do it. Okay? And that's not a plan of mine to go in debt to, if you have falling revenues, you maintain what you have. Okay? You don't create new parks if you don't have the money to do it. But also, if you have money in your budget and you get a grant and you want to invest, you're gonna get a good return on your investment and increase economic development and bring more people to Palm Bay, then you do it. Think smart.
Okay. So now is the chance, Tom, for you to ask your candidate question. So if you'd like to ask Randy the prepared question that you had for him.
Well, I don't have one prepared. I'll just ask off the top of my head.
Okay.
As an elected official, you're required to take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Florida. You're on the record of being pro-gun control and anti-Second Amendment. And I don't know what it is you don't understand about the 4 words, shall not be infringed, but that's your issue. And then as far as the Constitution of the state of Florida, you were censored by the governor in 2018. The governor of the state of Florida had to take time out of his day to personally deal with your violations of the Florida state constitution. So to sum it up, my question would be, how can you take an oath to defend and support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Florida when you have little regard for one and you've already broken the other?
Well, let me respond to that, sir. I strongly suggest that you investigate my background because you haven't done that. If you read a little bit about my bio, I served in the United States military, retired, unlike you, I retired, and I took an oath many times in my enlistment. I served in the Department of Justice, and I took an oath as a U.S. Marshal. I served as a police officer in North Carolina. I took an oath. I served in the Homeland Security. I took an oath, and I stand by that. As far as the Second Amendment, I carried it. Foster Expert is an expert witness firm. I protect people's rights. I stand up for their Constitution, from the First Amendment to the 14th Amendment. Okay, so when it comes to supporting the Constitution Amendment, I get paid to do that, and I do it for free sometimes. So as far as and I don't want to, the city council don't deal with guns. I'm a gun owner. I carried a gun for 39 years. I have a concealed weapons permit. So you need to get your facts wrong when you say I'm against the Second Amendment. And this is not even a city issue. So as far as the governor taking time out, I never met with Governor Scott. What you referring to is a violation of me filling out a form incorrectly, and someone on your side of the political persuasion anonymously filed a complaint, okay, and didn't want to put his name out there, and they investigated, and I paid the fine. That's the violation you're talking about.
Okay. So now we are moving over to.
Don't I get a rebuttal?
No, that's just a question.
Okay.
So over to Kevin, who will be talking about affordable housing issues.
Okay, gentlemen. All right. The night is getting old, so we're going to try to move it along. How can we help with affordable housing? What plans do you have?
Okay, so Tom, do you want to field that one?
Sure. I was born and raised in Elkhart, County, Indiana. What is built there is the type of RVs that they were talking about for the campground. I'm actually a camper. I own one of those. But that's a lot of manufactured housing, a lot of alternative housing. So my plan would be to look at alternative materials, alternative processes, and to try to bring the cost down. And one of the ways to bring the cost down is the cost of materials. I think I'm going to have a rebuttal on this afterwards because I've heard the word rent control before, and I'm totally against that. I'm a open market guy. Let the market determine the price. When the supply outreaches the demand, the prices will come down.
Okay, thank you. Randy?
Well, the state of Florida issued grants to nonprofits to help develop these affordable housing apartments and things like that. I think you got to look at the city. The city just passed some different ordinance and regulations that can help improve affordable housing. The tiny homes, maybe we need to look at trailer parks in a nice area or prefab homes. Maybe we need to zone it properly, multifamily homes. But we got to get, it's costing more to live in an apartment in Palm Bay than live in a house. And some people don't have the credit to buy a home or to qualify for a home. So, and my opponent mentioned rent control. That works in some cities, but in the state of Florida, you can't do rent control, as far as I know. But if you could, that'd be something to look at, but you can't do it. So it's a mute issue.
Okay. Tom, would you like to rebut?
I just want to clarify that my opponent would be willing to restrict the amount of money that somebody could sell a good or service they have for and skew the market. An open capitalistic market, and skew the market by putting a false ceiling on what somebody could charge for a product they have.
Can I rebut?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I say that? It
That's
came
what
out.
rent control is.
I didn't say nothing about controlling the market. A city councilman don't control the markets. A private citizen don't control the market. I didn't say that. So he could spew lies like that as untrue. I said you can't do rent control. I said you should look at nonprofits. The state of Florida have programs for this. They give grants out to help NGOs to build affordable housing. We need to make sure that's available to who wants to do that, and we need to encourage people in the city to build affordable housing. Okay, that's not telling people what you can charge and what you can't. The market will take care of itself. You overcharge the rent, you're not going to get nobody living in your apartment. And I don't. If you want to outprice your residents, that's your business decision, not mine. You do what you want to do. But we need to make sure the citizens have the opportunity to have affordable housing, and that's zoning, and encourage NGOs to get involved.
Tom, did you want a 1 minute? No. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Moving along to the next question. Actually, these two you kind of both touched on. Kevin?
agree. We can move past the last two because they. So I'm going to bring up Barikia to ask her line of questioning.
Okay. So, Barikia, if you'd like to ask the homelessness question.
Yes. How will you handle the homeless issue in Palm Bay?
And we'll turn that over to Randy first.
Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to help these people. You got to reach out to these people, and the city only have certain amount of resources. And what I like to do is bring churches, nonprofits, and the city government together and come up with a task force to address this. I talked about this in 2016 when I was running for county commission about homeless kids. And Brevard County is leading the way, and Palm Bay is growing. I don't think you should ship homeless people to another city or another state, unlike my opponent might want to do. I think what you should do is look at the homeless people in your city, come up with some solution and plan, and a place where they could go, or help them get out of the woods or off the street into the proper housing. And some of them do work, but they're homeless. Some of them are living in a car. Mother of the kids are living in a car. We don't have a homeless shelter. So it's about bringing business as an obligation. Non-churches have the obligation, and the government have the obligation to solve this problem. It's not being solved in Brevard County, not just Palm Bay, but in the whole county. And we need to tackle this problem. So, in 2021, I want to bring all these people together and come up with solutions.
Okay, Tom?
Well, first of all, you called it the homeless issue. So actually, there's a homeless issue and there's a homeless problem. The homeless issue is the homeless veterans, the homeless families who are out there and are seeking help, want help, and would buy in or have skin in the game to get themselves out of their present situation. The homeless problem is what remains. Those who just choose to live that way, that's their lifestyle. They trespass on other people's property. They're a liability to the property owner. They're a liability to the city. They're a liability to all the citizens of the city. So the homeless issue is what we need to deal with because those are the people that want help, that we can help, and let's solve that. The other, what remains is the homeless problem, and that's where I'm in the very early stages of working on a plan that would involve the churches. I don't know if it'll pass legal muster. Until I know that, I really would rather not speak anymore about it. But I am working on a plan to address that issue.
Okay. Did you want to respond?
Yeah. The homeless issue is the problem. Here's the problem. Veterans, mothers, single dads, homeless people, I look at it, I don't care if you're a veteran or not, I want to help you. I want to make sure that you be able to live a decent life and respectful life. And to do that, the government cannot solve that problem alone. And the government shouldn't try to solve it alone. It takes a community. It takes a community. And that community is business, churches, nonprofit organizations, and the government bringing these people together and assisting it to facilitate for this to happen. And when you do that and you come up with a plan, then you're gonna and execute that plan, then you're gonna solve the problem, and you're gonna handle all these other homeless issues. So you can play with the words. It's a problem. It's a problem when a kid is sleeping in a car and don't have no food to eat. It's a problem when families are living in the woods. It's a problem now under COVID-19 and the pandemic, and they're not getting the proper health care, or they're vulnerable. So, and with the economy slowly tanking, it's going to be a lot more people homeless. So yeah, and that's going to be a problem. So we need to solve problems. I'm for solving problems and tackling issues. Thank you.
Tom?
No, like I said, I'm working on a solution.
Okay. Then Barikia, we have a public safety question.
Yes. Everything that's going on in today's society, what are your thoughts on defunding the police or moving the funds from the police department?
Tom, do you want to?
Is that on me?
Yeah, that's on you, Tom.
Okay. I hope you can hear me because you can't see me.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully you'll come up in a second.
Okay. Actually, I'm against defunding police. Actually, I'm the only person that when the riots started in Portland went to the dais and asked the city council to consider making a change to our city charter and putting it before the voters that would take a certain percentage of the city budget every year, the general fund budget, and ensure that the police was funded with some percentage of that budget. And that way, as the city grows and the tax base grows, the percentage remains the same, but the dollar amount grows, allowing us to hire more officers, more police cars, more fire trucks, more firemen. So that was an idea that I brought forth, but it didn't even get a discussion from the current council. So that is one of the ways I'd look at public safety, and the defunding the police is just simply out of the question in my book.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Randy?
I'm not for defunding the police. I spent, over 25 years as a law enforcement officer. Officers need the equipment to do the job. They put their life on the line. The men and women put their life on the line. I lost some of my comrades, officers, through my service in the police and also U.S. Marshal. No, I'm not for defunding the police. As far as funding other services other than the police, you need to grow your commercial base. You need to grow that tax base. And to do it is not taxing the residents out of their home. It's growing your commercial base. And then you have money for other departments. And if you scrutinize your budget and get rid of the waste, or come up with creative ways how the government could grow money to bring money into their finance without taxing the people. And I've done that in my career. And you won't have to worry about this so-called defunding the police. So I'm not for defunding the police, but I want to talk about public safety, because my opponent don't have a clue what public safety is. Not only your police and fire is public safety, but you also got to look at hurricane response, disaster preparedness. You got to bring, and when we have a natural disaster heading our way, we need to be prepared for that. Not only that, we need to have public security. It's also important. And that you could do that, you could accomplish that by technology. We got security technology has increased tremendously through my time in law enforcement. So like body cams. Body cams is public safety. Thank you.
Tom, do you want to respond?
No, thank you.
Okay. So moving along, Kevin has a question about sustainability.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. A question for all the candidates. What are your plans regarding sustainability in Palm Bay?
Yes.
Yeah, you may want to read the rest of that as well so that they understand what.
Okay. All right. The city presently has an outdated sustainability plan with the last comprehensive study before 2011. Do any of the candidates have plans to find funding to update this plan or study?
Okay. So Randy, do you want to take that?
Yeah, well, you have a sustainability board in the city of Palm Bay, don't we? I spoke on that to help get that in front of the city council when they was thinking about creating that board. We need to look at the experts in this field. We need to go to our advisory board, and they need to, and we need to bring a plan together to do that. One thing I would like to do, and in my career that I had to respond to, what would happen if we had a disaster in Washington, D.C., and how we could continue government. Okay, we didn't have the natural, the lights go out, the storm damaged the city hall. How are you going to continue that government to operate? We don't have a plan to do that. Most government don't have a plan to do that. The federal government does. We need to sustain, we need to have our own energy source. We need to have electric cars. We need to have the city and the county to be on solar. We need to take that money back that we paid FP&L and put it back in our budget. But that takes vision, that takes leadership, and that takes courage to invest.
Tom?
Well, first of all, is I'd find a group of citizens that would actually show up to the sustainability board meetings, because they haven't met in quite some time because they can't get a quorum. So other than that, I'd mentioned the street lights. One other thing I've talked about is turning our in the parks that have baseball fields and soccer fields and such, is I've talked with FBL about using some of the area in those parks to put in a solar plant that would run the lights. Currently, if you talk about sustainability, a lot of our youth sports leagues are on an unsustainable path. And one of the major reasons for that is because of what the city charges them for lights. So, and we're talking about a relatively small amount between the softball league, the two little leagues, and the soccer. You're talking about less than $100,000 that the city is charging the leagues to use the lights that we've already paid for, and we're going to pay the electric bill anyway. But what I'd like to do is, instead of paying that electric bill, is turn those lights into solar and quit jeopardizing our youth sports programs because of the cost of the lights in the parks.
Okay, can we move along? Okay. So Kevin, if you wanted to ask your question on city leadership and governing.
All right, gentlemen, do you think the citizens should vote in the new city manager?
Nancy, can you just read the question, because he's real.
Okay, yeah. So Tom, this is to you first. Do you think the citizens should vote in the new city manager?
No, because that means the citizens would have to fire the city manager. No, I get this asked this questions in a variety of different ways. Should we have a strong mayor? Should we elect a city manager? Both are basically the same question. The problem when you elect the CEO of your city is that you really can't fire him. I mean, you have to go through what Sebastian just went through, which is a recall election, in order to fire a bad, strong manager or an elected city manager. The system we have right now works. It's the best thing we have. It's not perfect by far, but it works. If we have a bad city manager, city council can fire the city manager. If you have a strong mayor, City council can't fire that strong mayor. So the system we have in place right now is that city council hires the CEO of the city or the city manager, and they oversee that. And that's the way it should be, because if something goes haywire, we get hit by a major storm, the city manager just totally drops the ball. Do you want to fire that city manager and bring somebody in who can do it, or do you just want to live with the city manager you elected?
Okay, thank you, Tom. Randy?
Well, once again, here's where I agree with my opponent on that. Exactly what he said. I think we got a city council, a council manager, council manager type government. That's what we have. That's in our charter, and I support the charter, and I think we should keep it that way.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. I'm not going to ask the next one. It just asks, are you going to be a dedicated member of council? I'm going to assume that's a yes. That's why you're running. So we're moving along then to Mr. Foster. Randy, you get to ask your question to your opponent, Tom. So this gives Tom 2 minutes to answer the question. So if you'd like to ask Tom your question.
Well, you know, I went back and forth. I don't know if I want to ask him about his criminal conviction, arrest in Jacksonville for worthless checks, or ask him about his LinkedIn. I think I'm going to ask him about LinkedIn because it's more towards the city. Tom, I went on your LinkedIn page, and because I'm on LinkedIn, and I was very disturbed about this post on your LinkedIn page. I don't know if you can see it, but maybe I could show it to you a little bit better. You posted, and it's tied to your campaign website, a sign that looks like this. And that's not the exact sign that's in front of City Hall. The one in City Hall looks like this. And you know, I guess that's intellectual property, because that's probably copyright. So you did some Photoshop, and I find this sign very disturbing. I don't know what you mean by the middle finger. The city of Palm Bay, and you got the middle finger on this sign of Florida, where rights dies and stupidity strives. This has been on your LinkedIn for 7 months when you're running for city council. Is this what you think of the question is this what you think of Palm Bay? This is what you think of our city government? LinkedIn is a website where professional people are on. It's for business, it's for government, a lot of professional people, and it's all over the world. And when they look at your website, your LinkedIn web page, and they see this is not a good representative for a city councilman who's trying to run for city council. So what do you say about the middle finger in your post?
Well, first of all, I'll address that. Yes, I did write a bad check 35 years ago for less than $100 and then deployed, and the money wasn't in the bank. When I got back, I had a judgment against me. 35 years ago, pretty insignificant amount, and a misdemeanor. So I didn't violate the public trust or anything. As far as that picture is funny, because that picture, I didn't make that picture. I just redistributed that picture, because that picture was actually drawn by a resident, because that is the way the residents feel with this current council when it comes to things like having a stormwater assessment dictated to you, or mandatory hookups for water and sewer, things I've fought against, which would beg me to question, while I was out there fighting for roads and fighting to do away with the assessments and change the city charter and take the power to assess away from the city council, and while I was working against having $10,000 charges for mandatory water hookups and sewer hookups, what exactly were you doing to help the citizens of Palm Bay, Florida?
Okay, so moving on, we have Barikia, and she will ask some questions on community togetherness.
Yes. How do you plan to bring the community together through these challenging and social and economic times?
Randy, that's to you.
Well, I want to have town hall meetings. I want to invite the community that I'm going to go Lockmore. It could be Lockmore. It could be Driscoll Heights. It could be in the southeast or northwest. I want to go to different communities doing my service and meet with the HOA, meet with the community organizing in that area, and hear their concerns and try to come up with a plan. Let them come up with a plan to bring it together. We got to make sure that our city put the best shine on it. When you drive into Palm Bay, we should see a sign saying "Welcome to Palm Bay." When you drive in certain communities, we should see and some do have their signs up, but we need to fix it up and clean it up and show pride in where you live, in the area you live. So I want to instill that. That's not a city councilman job, but it's going to be my job.
Tom?
Could you ask the question again, please? I think I lost it.
Yes. How do you plan to bring together the community through these challenging social and economic times?
Well, I talked a little bit about that earlier, is I'd like to bring back something like the Big Squeeze, do trash bash in individual neighborhoods so that the neighborhood comes together and cleans things up. I'd like to bring back, under community policing, is bring back the neighborhood watch programs. I think that's important. It's not only to protect the neighborhood, but it brings the neighborhoods together and let you meet your neighbors and find out what interests you share in common. And but that's we have a long way to go when it comes to coming together as a community, and I think we can do it. I just think that having the right programs in place and the right functions that bring people out, because right now we hold a lot of city functions. Movies in the park might draw a couple hundred people, but we're 120,000 people. So we need to find events where we can bring 80,000 people together over a weekend and do things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
I have one more question. If you are not elected, what will you do to try to help on the work? If you're not elected, what will you do to try to help work on ideas and issues that are important to you?
Tom?
I'd keep doing the same thing I've been doing. I wasn't elected in 2018 and I kept working. I wasn't elected prior to 18 and I was working. So first and foremost, I'm another citizen and I'll always be a citizen first.
Okay. Randy?
That's a good question, Barikia. Through my business, I help a lot of residents, and I would continue to serve on the Park and Recreation Board and other boards that when the City Council allowed me to serve on. But through my business, I stand up for people's rights. And citizens comes to me all the time when they have an issue, if they felt something wrong. And I give free consulting advice sometimes that I should be getting paid for, but I do it because the person can't pay and they need somebody to talk to. They need to find the right path to travel on with the law enforcement issues or things like that, or the civil rights. A lot of issues come to me as not just city issues. It's things that happen to them in the community. You came to me, Barikia, for some issues, and I helped you. So you know what I'm talking about when serving the community. I served in the government over 28 years. My opponent can't say that. I'm going to continue to serve. I've been serving since I was 17-year-old. I'm going to serve to the day I die.
Tom, Rebecca?
My opponent seems to like to put me down because I didn't retire from the military. let's tell the truth of the matter. My first deployment in the United States Navy, I was in Beirut, Lebanon in 1983. I'm a veteran of the first Gulf War. The reason I didn't retire from the United States Navy is because I got hurt. I'm a disabled American veteran. I wear a prosthetic on my left leg. And for him to point to me and say I didn't retire is an insult to another veteran, and I take offense.
Yeah.
If I insult you, Tom, charge it to my head, not to my heart. I don't get pleasure in attacking veteran. I didn't attack you. I know you're a disabled veteran. I'm too a disabled veteran of Afghanistan, of the Operation Freedom. So I respect your service, okay? And I respect veterans, and I respect your service. So I want to get that clear. I hope you don't think I'm disrespecting. Not everybody retires in the military. I understand that, and retirement is not for everybody in the military. So if you're offended the way I posed a question or made a statement, I apologize. But it wasn't intent to disrespect your service, sir.
Any response?
No, thank you.
Okay. Now we have Kevin, who will ask some questions about growth and opportunities. We're on the last section, so we're closing out soon.
Is this still the story?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit. If you want to ask a question, if we don't hear it, I'll repeat it.
Go ahead and ask the question, Nancy.
Okay. What do you see the greatest obstacle for Palm Bay, and how do you plan to turn it into Palm Bay's greatest opportunity? Randy?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we got to focus on our commercial base. We're not going to be a city if we just have a bunch of homes. We're just a bedroom community. The tax base is not coming in. We don't have enough tax base just off the home. The solution is grow our commercial base for the future. And that's happening off Heritage Parkway, Bayfront, Emerald Lakes. We gotta stay focused on that and build our infrastructure. The city's going to strive, and it's going to be a beautiful city. I believe Palm Bay is the future of Brevard County and Florida. I think we had a critical moment in our history in Palm Bay to really flourish and grow our city responsibly, grow it right. This organic growth, no, we need to plan our growth. That wasn't done in the past. So grow our commercial base, fix our infrastructure, keep our taxes reasonable, and not tax people out of their home. Protect our citizens and give them a job.
Okay, Tom?
Restate.
Absolutely. What do you see the greatest obstacle for Palm Bay, and how do you plan to turn it into Palm Bay's greatest opportunity?
We're already working on it. For over 50 years, everybody that ever ran for public office said they were going to fix the roads, but nobody came with a plan. So in 2 years, this city has made a dramatic change because of the roads that have been done so far. And we're going to continue that. We're going to do all the roads. If you want to see the economic impact of it, go into some of these neighborhoods where the roads have been paved and looked at how many houses are being built, how many lots have been cleared. As that density increases, next thing you know, you're going to have, stores following in because they want to be close to the customers. So the biggest hurdle has already been cleared. We're doing the roads.
Yeah, thank you. Any response?
Well, we got more than the roads is just one hurdle. There's a lot more hurdles.
Was that the biggest hurdle?
Well, yeah, it is the biggest hurdle to tackle, but there's other hurdles you got to jump. When you're running a 100-yard race, you're not going to just jump the first hurdle and then just walk to the second one. I'm going to keep jumping.
Can I stop right here? Because you're answering actually the next question. The
Okay.
next question was, what is the biggest issue facing Palm Bay other than the roads, and how would you address it? So, Randy, I'll let you continue with your train of thought.
Well, once again, I think it's our commercial base. When you live in Palm Bay, I'm going to say this over and over again, and have to spend your money in Melbourne and West Melbourne, that's an issue. That's a problem. When you drive down Palm Bay Road, the south side is in Palm Bay and the north side is in West Melbourne and Melbourne. And Handon Landing is a good example of poor leadership. Palm Bay could have had that property, and we could have been getting a lot of tax revenue from Handon Landing. It didn't happen. It's a shame that one of the major roads in Palm Bay, and the name after Palm Bay, half is in Melbourne and West Melbourne. It's called leadership, forward thinking, vision. So commercial base is to me is key, and our infrastructure is also the lock. We need to have a road fund, road maintenance fund, and we need to make sure that our roads we don't go back to failed roads again. Okay, and I'm 100% behind supporting our road maintenance fund and make sure that's going to be able to sustain our road.
So, Tom, the question was, what is the biggest issue facing Palm Bay other than roads, and how would you address it?
The state of our comprehensive plan. Right now, our comprehensive plan is outdated. It doesn't reflect the new interchange. It doesn't reflect the commercial growth that can go on around there. A lot of property is in the comp plan. The land use is wrong and the zoning is wrong. With that simple change and streamlining our permitting process, we're on a very good path right now. So we just need to move forward in the same direction. And when I talk about the future, I'm not talking about 5 or 10 years. I'm looking out 40, 50 years when I talk about Babcock Street being a main street. Let that fill in. It'll fill in from both ends toward the middle.
Okay. Then let's move to this last question, and then we'll have closing remarks. And for those of you that are hanging in there and still with us, I do want to point out we had some technical difficulties, so that's why my name is below Randy, and we are together on the screen because we could not get a separate computer to work. So I just want, as fairness to Tom, this isn't an endorsement or anything. It was just technical difficulties, and we wanted to make sure that you were able to see both candidates tonight. So,
are you saying I'm a victim of circumstance?
Yes. Well, yeah. Zoom. I mean, you're at its mercy. So, so the final question we have before your closing statements, and this will go to you first, Tom. What do you propose we do about raising money to support the impact the new developments will place on our city resources?
Well, that's why we just went through a review of all the impact fees, because when somebody comes in and builds a house, some money goes to parks, some goes to roads, infrastructure, some the police. There's a police fund for impact fees. There's a fire fund for impact fees. So all those impact fees get spread around, but impact fees can only be spent to increase capacity or build something new. So, for instance, the fire impact fees. It's no secret we need another fire station. And with all the growth, we probably need 2, one in the west and one down in the southeast. So that's what impact fees are used for. But I really don't think the city is spending the impact fees properly, because I think when you charge somebody an impact fee and they live in the Northwest, that those impact fees should be spent in the immediate area where the impact is felt. That house in the Northwest has absolutely nothing to do with impact fees being spent in the Southeast, or should have nothing to do with that. It should be a fair representation of the impact on the local area that that new structure has.
Okay. Randy?
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. It says, what do you propose we do about raising money to support the impact the new developments will place on our city resources?
Raising money to support the impact?
Yeah, what do you propose we do about raising?
Well, we need to, as the city develop, is going to increase the impact fee. I like to study that issue a little bit more. I'm not going to give you my proposal, but I like to study that issue a little bit more and look at, because I don't have all the city's facts, and I don't want to make a statement and somebody come back and say, hey, you said this on Palm Bay Live. I like to really look at to that and make a good decision on it. But I'm not gonna make a proposal or a judgment on our impact fee. Right now, we're collecting them. They're having an effect on our budget. I think we had 11 million reserves. We had over $11 million in our budget that wasn't spent. That's a good thing. So the impact fees are helping us. But I like to look at it more closely and see what we can do with that.
Okay. Tom, did you have? Do you want to rebut?
The question again. No, that's fine. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so for closing, we'll start with Randy. And what they wanted you to include in your closing statement was what you have accomplished on behalf of the citizens and why you are the best candidate. So, Randy?
You want me to answer the question in my closing? What I have accomplished is I served on the advisory board. I've been serving in my community in nonprofits, helped with the Thanksgiving dinners with Chris Duncan and his wife. I actually spent a lot of my money to help that. I've been doing that for ever since I moved to Palm Bay for the last 7 years. So I've been serving my community in other ways, and especially in Palm Bay when it comes to that Thanksgiving meal and things like that. And through my business. I don't make a profit off everything of my consultant fee. Sometimes I just do it for free because people need help and don't have the money to get the proper legal representation. But in closing, why I'm the best, when you look for someone to hire for a job, you look at their leadership experience, you look at leadership, and you look at the experience. You don't look for you look for a leader. You don't look for a troublemaker. My opponent calls himself a troublemaker, and he has caused some trouble in the city of Palm Bay. But you look at experience, and I have the experience. I have a unique experience in the government and in the civilian world, and that's what I'm going to bring to Palm Bay. My government experience, 28 years. My leadership experience in government. I have a vision for Palm Bay is to bring back integrity to this seat 3. Also, grow our infrastructure, bring economic development, and number one, public safety. I want to make sure you're safe, whether it's a hurricane, a natural disaster, or someone coming in your house trying to attack you. Vote randyfoster.com.
Thanks, Randy. Okay, Tom, your 2 minutes closing.
Again, my name is Tom. I'm running for Palm Bay City Council C3. What have I done for the citizens of Palm Bay? I've been involved. I've started the Palm Bay Fast Pitch Little League Softball, which was the first girls sanctioned Little League in the entire state of Florida. Before that, I had a Challenger Division Little League for kids with disabilities, and ran that. I sat on the board of Palm Bay West Little League back when my kids were young, and I didn't coach my own kids. I just didn't feel right about that. And then I had my time at the chamber, but I've been working for the last several years. I've just been working for the citizens of Palm Bay. We did the petition for the stormwater assessment. We did the roads. The first time I brought up the road bond project and doing the roads by referendum, I looked at 5 city council members who told me it would never happen. I looked at the chairman of the Infrastructure Oversight Board, who outside the city council chambers stood there yelling at me, saying it was a stupid idea. It will never happen. 88% of the voters approved it. 66% of the voters took the assessment power away from the city council. The mandatory hookups for water and sewer never came into existence because we fought it and we nipped it at the bud. So I've been working for the citizens of Palm Bay all along. Like I said, first and foremost, I'm a citizen. I'll always be a citizen first, and I'm asking for your vote, and I hope to be elected on November 3rd. You can find out more about me at my website, which is gaum.us, GAUAUME.us, as in us. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. So my name is Nancy Peltonen, and I'm President and CEO of the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate you spending time with us this evening, and thank you to both of the candidates for your responses. And I will now turn this over to Kevin for the closing remarks.
Hi, can you hear me okay? I'm not sure why we have some technical difficulties tonight. I thank you for spending the time with us tonight, and please vote based on your conscience and exercise the right to vote. And please, if you have not registered to vote yet, please go out and register to vote so you can participate in the upcoming elections. See you guys on, we're going to have Mr. Foster back on the 30th. We have Mayor Capote on October 8th. We have Commissioner Tobias with us on the 13th of October. So look for those upcoming events to be happening coming in the coming months. All right, and we will try to work out these technical challenges going forward. I'm not sure what happened tonight. We'll try to get it sorted out. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Have yourself a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Barikia.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.